Our female athletes are now facing a huge setback. The 2024 Paris Olympics were a celebration of athleticism and human achievement. However, one boxing match sparked controversy and ignited a global debate. In a highly anticipated bout, Italian boxer Angela Carini faced Algerian athlete Imane Khelif. Khelif emerged victorious, but the victory was overshadowed by Carini's tearful reaction and accusations of unfair play. Carini, visibly shaken, claimed that Khelif's punches were unusually powerful. She questioned whether Khelif should be allowed to compete in the women's category. Carini's statements fueled an already simmering controversy surrounding transgender athletes in sports. The world watched as the debate unfolded, with strong opinions on both sides. The Khelif-Carini fight became a flashpoint in a larger conversation about fairness, inclusion, and the very definition of gender in competitive sports. It raised complex questions about biology, identity, and the spirit of fair play. The controversy highlighted the need for clear guidelines and respectful dialogue in navigating this sensitive issue. Angela Carini, a dedicated police officer from Naples, Italy, approached boxing with passion and discipline. She saw the sport as a way to honor her late father, who had instilled in her a fighting spirit. Carini had overcome personal tragedy to reach the Olympics, making her journey a testament to her resilience. Carini entered the ring against Khelif with determination. However, she was unprepared for the sheer force of her opponent's blows. The Italian boxer later admitted that she had never experienced such power in her years of competition. Feeling overwhelmed and concerned for her safety, Carini made the difficult decision to stop the fight. Carini's decision to speak out about her experience was not rooted in transphobia but in her belief in fair competition. She felt compelled to raise awareness about what she perceived as a disparity in physical strength. Carini's stance resonated with many who shared her concerns about the inclusion of transgender women in women's sports. Imane Khelif, a talented boxer from Algeria, had overcome his own set of challenges to reach the Olympics. Assigned male at birth, Khelif had always identified as female. His journey to self-acceptance and athletic recognition was marked by perseverance and a deep passion for boxing. Khelif's presence at the Olympics was groundbreaking. He represented a growing number of transgender athletes seeking inclusion and recognition in the world of competitive sports. Khelif's victory in the ring was a testament to the skill and determination, but it also thrust him into the center of a global controversy. Khelif's supporters argued that he had met all the eligibility criteria set by the International Olympic Committee. They maintained that he deserved to compete in the category aligned with her gender identity, even though this would be unfair to natural women. For them, Khelif's victory was a win for inclusivity and a sign of progress in the fight for transgender rights, but a setback for women in competition. The image of Angela Carini leaving the ring in tears, while Imane Khelif celebrated her victory, became a defining moment of the 2024 Olympics. The stark contrast highlighted the raw emotions and deep divisions surrounding the issue of transgender athletes in sports. The aftermath of the fight was marked by accusations, defenses, and calls for clarity. Carini's supporters rallied around her, praising her courage for speaking out. They echoed her concerns about fairness and questioned the International Olympic Committee's guidelines for transgender athletes. Some accused Khelif of having an unfair advantage, while others demanded stricter regulations to ensure a level playing field. Khelif, on the other hand, faced a barrage of criticism and online abuse. Some questioned the gender identity, while others accused him of exploiting a loophole in the system. The backlash highlighted the challenges faced by transgender athletes who often navigate prejudice and hostility even as they strive for acceptance and recognition. The science of sex and sport. The controversy surrounding Khelif and Carini's fight highlights the complex relationship between sex, gender, and athletic performance. Scientists and sports officials grapple with creating fair competition where biological sex and gender identity don't always align. Testosterone, crucial for muscle development, is a key point of contention. Males typically have higher testosterone levels, often cited for performance gaps in sports. IOC policies on testosterone in transgender athletes face criticism for fairness and discrimination. A history of DSD in athletics. The debate over transgender athletes in sports is not new. For decades, the athletic world has grappled with cases involving individuals with differences of sex development, or DSD, formerly known as intersex conditions. DSD encompasses a wide range of congenital conditions in which a person's chromosomal, gonadal, or anatomical sex is atypical. One of the most famous cases involves South African runner Caster Semenya, who was subjected to sex verification tests and barred from competition due to her naturally high testosterone levels. Semenya's case, and others like it, raised ethical questions about privacy, bodily autonomy, and the right of athletes with DSD to compete without having to undergo medical interventions. The history of DSD in athletics is marked by controversy and evolving understandings of sex and gender. It highlights the challenges of creating policies that are both inclusive and fair, while also respecting the dignity and human rights of all athletes. The IOC walking a tightrope. The International Olympic Committee, the governing body of the Olympic Games, has faced increasing pressure to establish clear and consistent guidelines for the participation of transgender athletes. The organization has attempted to strike a balance between promoting inclusivity and ensuring fair play, but its efforts have been met with mixed reactions. In recent years, the IOC has shifted its focus from solely regulating testosterone levels to adopting a more holistic approach that considers factors such as gender identity, medical history, and the potential for advantage in a particular sport. However, critics argue that these guidelines remain vague and open to interpretation. The IOC's task is further complicated by the rapidly evolving scientific understanding of sex and gender, as well as the social and political dimensions of the issue. The organization finds itself navigating a complex landscape where any decision is likely to face scrutiny and opposition from one side or the other. A world divided, voices of dissent. The debate over transgender athletes in sports has sparked passionate responses from people around the world. From social media to the halls of government, the issue has become a focal point for discussions about gender identity, human rights, and the future of sport. Opponents of transgender inclusion argue that allowing transgender women to compete in women's sports undermines the integrity of female competition. They point to biological differences between men and women, particularly testosterone levels, as evidence that transgender women have an unfair advantage. Some also express concerns about safety and fairness in contact sports. These concerns are often amplified by conservative media outlets and politicians who frame the issue as a matter of protecting women's sports. However, critics argue that these arguments are often rooted in transphobia and a misunderstanding of both gender identity and the science of athletic performance. The trans community speaks out. The debate over transgender athletes in sports has had a profound impact on the transgender community. For many transgender athletes, the opportunity to compete in the category that aligns with their gender identity is more than just about sport. It's about recognition, validation, and the right to live authentically. Transgender athletes and their allies argue that excluding them from competition based on their gender identity is discriminatory and harmful. They emphasize that transgender women are women, and that their participation in women's sports does not threaten the integrity of female competition. The transgender community has also been vocal in pushing for greater understanding and empathy. They point out that transgender athletes often face significant barriers to participation, including discrimination, harassment, and lack of access to resources. They call for a more inclusive and welcoming environment in sports where all athletes feel safe and respected. Fairness, inclusion, and the future of sport. The debate over transgender athletes in sports is about fairness, inclusion, and societal values. It raises questions about gender, biology, and creating a level playing field. As awareness of gender identity grows, there are no easy answers. Open dialogue and scientific evidence are crucial. The future of sport depends on creating an inclusive environment for all. A call for understanding and respect. The controversy surrounding Imane Khelif and Carini's fight served as a stark reminder of the deeply personal and emotional nature of the debate over transgender athletes in sports. While there are valid concerns on both sides, it is essential to approach this issue with sensitivity, respect, and a commitment to finding common ground. Instead of resorting to inflammatory rhetoric or personal attacks, we must engage in constructive dialogue that acknowledges the complexities of gender identity, the science of athletic performance, and the importance of creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for all athletes. Ultimately, the goal should be to create a world where all athletes, regardless of their gender identity, feel valued, respected, and empowered to pursue their athletic dreams. This requires empathy, understanding, and a willingness to listen to and learn from each other, even when we disagree. Our women have been at a disadvantage ever since and now have to deal with a greater setback at these Olympic Games. Please share your thoughts and subscribe for more.